health according to who? What is health normally? Yeah, it is a concept of being well. Being well, nothing but health in all aspects of a person's life. Actually, it was stated that our immune system, as it is stated that immune system maintains our health, and then our mind influences throughout it neuroendocrine system. Okay, hence health is affected by our mind and mental state also. Okay, now let us see what is a health. It is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and when the health is not only in the absence of disease but also the ability to realize one's potential. And let us see what are the causes of diseases. There are genetic abnormalities and due to living biotic, that is, and non-living it is abiotic. What are the living things means? Due to viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasitic insects, other herbivores, etc. Whereas non-biotic, it may be chemicals, chemicals, solid acidity, nutrient imbalance, and then low oxygen, and also heat, fraud, and then mechanical impact also, and other genetic abnormalities like, there is also causes of disease. Okay, now what is an infectious disease? Infectious disease. From person to person, nothing but infectious disease. And the infectious disease causing agents are called as pathogens. Okay, now let us see the types of disease. Disease is divided into two. One is congenital and acquired. Congenital means it is present since the birth, whereas this acquired, it develops after birth only. And acquired is divided into communicable and non-communicable. What is communicable disease then? That is infectious disease spread from one person to another, and this non-communicable, they do not spread from person to person, and this non-communicable is divided into 5. One is degenerative disease. What is degenerative disease? Where the vital organs doesn't function properly, that leads to a degenerative disease. And then deficiency disease means caused due to the lack of nutrients in our body. And then allergies, that is caused due to hypersensitivity of the body with certain foreign agencies. Cancer, it is due to uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells in the body. And then other disease like which is caused by various physical agents or any other reasons. Okay, now let us see the communicable diseases. There are 5 pathogens. The first one is virus, bacteria, fungi, protozoa and rickettsia. Now let us see each disease. Okay, bacterial disease. Bacterial disease include typhoid and pneumonia. Okay, what is typhoid? What is the causative agent here is? The causative agent is Salmonella typhi. What happens is this bacteria enters into the intestine through contaminated water and body, and which spread throughout the body through blood. Okay, and the symptoms are high fever, that is 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, and weakness, stomach pain, fatigue, headache and loss of appetite. Okay, the next disease is pneumonia. Tell me the causative agent for pneumonia. Streptococci pneumoniae. This is the causative agent for pneumonia. What happens in pneumonia is it infects the alveoli of the lung. This alveoli is filled with fluid, so which leads to pneumonia, which leads to breathing difficulty, and therefore it is called pneumonia, and the symptoms include high fever, chills, cough and a headache. What happens in severe cases means these nails and the lips and the fingernails turn into greyish blue in color. Okay. And the next viral disease includes dengue fever. The symptoms of dengue are hypotension, pleural effusion, acids, and then altered level of consciousness, seizures, itching, slow heart rate, and the causative agent here is, what is the causative here for dengue? Yeah, mosquito, name of the mosquito? Aedes? Aedes? What is that? Aedes aegypti is the causative agent of the mosquito. Okay, tell me some other viral diseases other than dengue. Malaria is not a viral disease? Cold. Yeah, common cold. And what is the causative agent here for common cold? Rhinovirus. Okay, rhinovirus is a causative agent for cold. And okay, tell me the symptoms for common cold. What are the symptoms? Yeah, throat pain, nasal congestion, and then running nose, yeah, cough, and what else? Headache. Yes, and then tiredness usually lasts from 3 to 7 days. Okay, and the next is protozoan disease. For example, it is malaria, and the causative agent for malaria is Plasmodium species, that is female anopheles. Okay, now let us see the life cycle of malaria. First, what happens is the mosquito which is infected with sporozoites bite the human blood, and what happens, these spirozoites reach the liver through blood. In the liver, what happens is it multiplies and it bursts out and come out of the blood. So again, what happens, a parasite enters into the red blood cells and asexual reproduction occurs, more parasites again in the red blood cells. After that, some forms gametocytes in the red blood cells itself. And what happens outside the human, after that, what happens, the female anopheles mosquitoes feed on the blood and feed on gametophytes, that is which is present inside the human body, and later the fertilization and development in the intestine of the female mosquitoes occurs, and last the infective sporozoites migrate into the salivary gland, and again that infected mosquito bites the human. So this is the life cycle of a malaria. Okay, symptoms of malaria. Tell me the symptoms of malaria.
Cold, muscular pain.
Yeah, muscular pain, shaking, chills, illness, and then nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Okay. And malaria may also cause jaundice and anemia. What is anemia? Yes. Abdina? Eppadi agum? Okay. And where is jaundice? Yeah, yellow discoloration, that is jaundice. Okay, any other protozoal disease? Example? Anything other than malaria? Ambiosis, yeah. And the causative agent for ambiosis is? Entamoeba? Yeah, correct. What happens here? This is largely found in large intestine of the body, of the human. Okay, symptoms for amoebiosis?
Constipation,
abdominal pain, cramps, and then excess mucus and blood clots. Okay, and let us see about helminthic disease. Like example, elephantitis. What is that? What kind of disease is that? Elephantitis? Yes. What happens is, it is a inflammation, causes a inflammation and the thickening of the tissues, of the skin and the tissues underlining the same. It affects the arms, leg and the male and the female genitals most commonly. Okay, now let us see the symptoms, signs and symptoms. First one is browny skin color, and then blocked lymph ducts and enlarged groin or lymph nodes, fibrotic skin tissues or massive leg swelling. And these are the causes of elephantitis, that is the causative agent. What is the causative agent here? Causative agent. Huh? Causative agent I am asking. Filarial? Yeah. No, it is not a causative agent. I am asking about the... Huh? Okay, what is the causative agent for elephantitis? Therilaya. Filariasis, yeah, Wucheria bancrofti. Okay, that is the causative agent. And there are two types of elephantitis. One is filarial, another is non-filarial. Filarial means it is termed as a lymphatic, lymphatic filariasis, and whereas non-filariasis is no such infection in the, there is no parasitic infection, that is called as non, and whereas filarial means it is lymphatic filariasis. Okay, next we will see about fungal disease. Fungal disease, example ringworms, and the causative of the ringworms are, yes, Epidomophyton, yeah. See, these are not caused by actually by worms, but instead of fungus. Okay, and then it is highly contagious and affects the skin and the scalp. This infection is seen primarily in humans and animals. Okay, where it is seen?
Humans and
No, in which part of?
skin,
Skin, okay,
scalp,
scalp, and then,
neck.
yeah, toes, in between the fingers of the toes. Okay. Now let us see how to control these infectious disease. First one is vaccination, and then very clean hygiene, that is environmental sanitation and the vector control, and also reduction of the population growth and urban planning, sex education and promotion of safe sex, and then testing and diagnosis, treatment and promotion of hygiene practice, and also a food security and a proper nutrition should be taken, and reduction of contact with wildlife and livestock. What is livestock?
Remaining materials for living beings.
Animal husbandry, cattle, buffaloes and others known as livestock. And then reduction of social inequalities and infectious disease surveillance, biodiversity preservation and reduction of climate change, and then development of new antimicrobial drugs, and also risk communication. Okay. Now let us see about the non-communicable disease, like example cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease and cancer. We will see about cancer. What is a cancer? What is a cancer?
Growth of
Abnormal cells in our, yeah, and it is the most deadliest disease in the worldwide, which causes the death across the globe. What are the causes of cancer? It is chemicals, that is chemicals like arsenic, alcohol, and then components of tobacco smoke, and then it is also biological, that is which includes bacteria, virus and parasites, and physical means ultraviolet radiations. These are the causes of cancer. Now let us see the biology of cancer. What happens in normal cells? All the cells, the cell growth and the differentiation is highly controlled and regulated. Okay, the growth of the cells are highly
controlled
and
regulated.
yeah, but whereas in cancer it is abnormal. We cannot, it cannot control or regulate the development of the cells. Okay, what is a tumor? It is an unorganized mass of cells. Abnormal cells are nothing but tumors. Okay, there are two types of tumors. One is benign, another is malignant. Benign, it is a, what is benign? Benign tumors? It doesn't spread from organ to organ, but whereas malignant, it spreads from one organ to another. These cells grow rapidly in malignant stage. Okay. Okay. We will see the diagnosis in cancer. The first one is physical exam and then biopsy. What is biopsy? Biopsy?
Cut the tumor.
Cut the tumor, what to do with the tumor? Cut the particular tumor and get it test, like what type of cells are present in that. That is biopsy and X-ray, CT and MRI, radionuclide bone scan and PET. Okay, and these are the therapies like surgery will remove the cancerous cell, and further we will check it whether it grows or what, and then hormone therapy, bone marrow transplantation, targeted therapy and radiation therapy, and also chemotherapy. These are the drugs used to kill cancer, and there are also there are so many side effects of chemotherapy drugs like alopecia. What is alopecia? What is alopecia? Hair fall. Main cancer drugs or side effect na hair fall and anemia. Okay. Now let us see about the immune system. They are the natural protectors against invaders. What happens is there are three levels. One is barriers, innate and adaptive. First in the barriers, skin and cilia act as a barrier which prevent the invaders from entering. These are the first step. And the next, once in the cilia if they entered, what happens is cells and chemicals stop invaders from spreading. After that, the last stage, it is adaptive, where blood warriors attack the invaders. That is with a grudge. What is immunity? Immunity.
Fight the virus.
Yeah. The ability of the body to fight against the specific foreign particles in our body is called as immunity. Okay. Now let us see the types of immunity. There are two types. One is innate and other is acquired. Innate is where organs, tissues and cells of the immune system that we are born, like example skin. But whereas acquired, it is developed during our lifetime only, like it is active and passive. Active is nothing but vaccination kind of thing is active immunity, and whereas passive is develops after we receive the antibodies from someone or somewhere else. And there are two types of barriers in innate immunity, like one is biological, another is physiological barriers. What is physical barriers? As we saw in the first slide, skins are the first defense system, and whereas the physiological, it is tears, saliva. These are the physiological barriers. Okay. Now let us see the difference between primary immune system and secondary immune system. Primary is, it is a primary contact with an antigen, but whereas secondary, it results as a result of second, and this reaches the peak in 7 to 10 days, but this secondary, it takes only 3 to 5 days to attain the peak, and the primary, it is a prolonged period and is required to establish the immunity, but it is very short time, the secondary immune system, immune response. And there is a rapid decline in the antibody level in primary, whereas in secondary, the antibody level remains same. And the primary, it appears mainly in the lymph nodes and the spleen, and whereas in secondary, it is seen in where? Bone marrow, first bone marrow and followed by spleen and lymph nodes. Okay. Now let us see about humoral responses and cellular responses. And this humoral response is otherwise known as antibody mediated immune response. Okay, what is that?
Antibody mediated
Immune response. It includes B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes, what is the function of B lymphocytes? Army of proteins. Yeah, what they produce? They produce the army of proteins called what? Called antibodies. Okay, which in response to the pathogens. And what does a T lymphocyte do? They produce what they produce? Antibodies. Okay. This is the mechanism of this humoral response and cellular response. What happens when the foreign particle enters into the body? Macrophage happens, and then helper T cells comes, and again B cells are activated in the presence of cytokines, and then antibodies are produced. B cells produces antibodies, whereas here it is T cells, again T cells produce antibodies only. Okay. Now let us see about antigens and antibodies. What is antigen? What is antigen and antibody? What is that?
Antigen
Antigen against என்ன சொல்ற?
immune system to produce antibodies against.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, antigen is a substance, okay? It is a substance that can induce the immune system to produce against the antibodies. Whereas antigen, it is a protective proteins produced by what? B cells and B cells of the immune system in order to attack the antigens. And where this has a combination of polysaccharides, but this is purely made up of proteins only. And these can be cells, but these are not cells. Antibodies are not cells, but antigen, it can be cells. And then these act as a key and this act as a lock. And therefore there are two main types. One is self antigen and non self antigen. What is self antigen? Auto? Auto?
Auto antigen.
Yeah, but whereas non, it is foreign antigens. And there are 5 types of antibodies. One is IgD, IgE, G and IgM and IgA. Okay. Now let us see the different types of antibodies with their function and where they are located. For the first one is IgM. What does it do is early antibody production and activates the complement system. It is present in the membrane bound, released as a pentamer. And then whereas IgD, it is a naive BCR, it is located in the membrane bond. And there is one, whereas IgG, it is directly neutralizes the target proteins and also mark the target for phagocytosis. And then it also marks the target for neutrophil degranulation and the aid in the complementary activation. It is most common antibody in the body fluids found in the monomeric forms. IgA, it is a specialized for neutralization of targets and weakly induces the phagocytosis or a complement. And they are found at the mucosal site, like example intestine and lung. And the last one is IgE. It is specialized for activating the mast cells, which can induce a rapid responses such as an allergy. So, which antibody is associated with allergies is IgE and bound to surface receptors upon mast cells. Now let us see the difference between vaccination and immunization. Okay, tell me about vaccination. What is vaccination then?
Coming from outside.
Coming from?
Outside.
Yeah.
Antibodies coming from outside to fight the pathogens.
Yeah, correct. And whereas immunization?
It was producing inside the body by the cells.
No, it's not like that. What is that? It's a process of getting both vaccine and immune system to our body, immune to our body. That is nothing but immunization. As vaccine, what you said was correct only. That is taken outside the body through oral or injection kind of thing, anything. And in vaccination, an antigen or an antigen or antigenic proteins which is in inactive form is induced into the body and which will be activated once it get enter to our body. Okay. What is the autoimmunity? Autoimmunity? What is that?
Involved in higher vertebrates.
Autoimmunity, I said. What happens is the body immune system goes off the track and they started to destroy themselves. That is autoimmunity, and this causes the damage to the body resulting in the autoimmune disease. Okay, like example, give me some examples of autoimmune disease. Examples for autoimmune disease?
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, rheumatoid arthritis, Addison's disease, and then last another one is, what is that? Hashimoto's disease. It's also an autoimmune disease. Hashimoto's. Okay, then what is allergy? Okay, which leads to, what are the factors which leads to autoimmunity is like genetic predisposition and then environmental factors and also hormonal factors. Now let us see about allergy. What is allergy?
Foreign particle.
Yeah, it is a hypersensitivity response to the
Immune system.
that's which causes allergy, and the causing agent of the allergies are known as allergens. Okay, allergic reactions include sneezing, watering of eyes, rashes, running nose, etc. Allergy actually occurs due to the release of chemicals like histones and then serotonins from the mast cells. Okay, let us see the immune system in the body. Immune system consists of antibodies, immune cells, lymphoid organs and tissues. This lymphoid organ is divided into two. One is primary, another is secondary lymphoid organs. Primary includes bone marrow and thymus only, whereas secondary it includes lymph nodes, spleen and tonsils. These are the places where our immune system, like what are the organs which is located in which place. Like lymph nodes in the, where it's present? Near the below the shoulder, okay, and then appendixes and bone marrow and then spleen, thymus and tonsils. Where is tonsils present? Okay, now let us see about AIDS. What is AIDS?
Acute immunodeficiency
Syndrome. Okay. The causative agent here is, what is that?
HIV.
Full form? Human immunodeficiency virus. Yes. Okay. There are 3 stages of AIDS. That is, first stage it is acute HIV infectious disease. What happens here is the patient only have flu-like symptoms. There will be only flu-like symptoms they will be having, and the next stage it is clinical latency stage. What happens here is the patient will have no symptoms and the stage lasts up to 10 years too, and the last stage is called as AIDS stage, where the patient develop pneumonia, fatigue, weight loss, everything they will experience. And how AIDS transmitted is like unprotected sex and then drug addicts, blood transfusion, pregnancy and non-sterile instruments, and it cannot be transmitted by what? Touching or through food, insect bites or in the pool, etc. HIV, it is communicable or non-communicable?
Non-communicable.
Yes. What happens is the patient became very without any immune, they become very immune deficient, which leads to they will be easily vulnerable to any disease to attack them. Okay. Now let us see the life cycle of a HIV. What happens first? The HIV virus binds to the host cells and then fusion occurs. What is fusion? Joining or together, that is fusion. The HIV virus fuses with the cell membrane of the host cells, which allows the HIV contents including RNA, reverse transcriptase and then integrase and other proteins to enter the cell. Upon the HIV virus, what they have? RNA, transcriptase and all these kind of proteins, and next stage is reverse transcription occurs. Inside the cell, the HIV RNA is converted into DNA using the reverse transcriptase, and the next stage is integration. The integrase enzymes allow the HIV DNA to be integrated into host DNA, and the next is replication. What is replication? Yeah, the HIV can now produce long chains of HIV proteins, and which can be used to build more HIV, and the last one is assembly. What they do is they move to the surface of the cell and they are assembled into a immature HIV, and budding the immature HIV is pushed out of the cell and the protease activate immature cell into a mature infectious HIV. Okay? Okay, what are the diagnosis? How to diagnose HIV, like how? What are the methods?
ELISA.
What is ELISA?
Enzyme
Immuno
Sorbent.
assay, yeah, and then Western blots and PCRs also. ELISA and Western blots are mainly, widely used to detect the HIV virus. And the treatments is, the first one is stem cell based gene therapy, that is a genetically engineered hemopoietic cells transplanted with an anti-HIV genes. Another is broadly neutralizing antibodies. What happens is a rare type of antibody that works to kill most of the HIV variants administered through vaccine. That is another kind of treatment. And last one is latency reversible. What they do is it involves the drugs that inactivate the HIV cells to multiply into different organs, and then the immune system targets and kills those cells. And also the use of antiviral drugs, but they can only prolong the life, but they cannot prevent the death of the patient. Okay, how to prevent AIDS? What are the control measures we can take to prevent AIDS?
Unwanted sexual contact.
Yes, and then
Touching.
it cannot transfer from touching. Touchnaல அது வந்து communicable இல்ல, non-communicable தான், only through fluids. Okay, and then use of disposable needles and syringes in public and private hospitals and clinic, and also controlling drug abuse. Okay, next we will see adolescence, that is drug and alcohol abuse. What is adolescence? Which age, from which age to which age refers to as adolescent age?
13 to 18.
Yes, that is in between childhood and adulthood, that is adolescence. Okay, what is drug abuse? Drug abuse.
Taking
When we become addicted to a drug. Okay, like example for drugs are opioids and morphine. What are opioids?
drugs.
These are narcotic, analgesic, sedative, which causes, what it causes?
It causes depression.
It doesn't cause depression. Actually, it leads, it will make us to be addicted. Okay, and the next one is heroin. Heroin is a commonly used drugs to, in adolescent age, heroines are commonly used, and then morphine. Actually, it is an effective sedative, which is a painkiller used by a patient who underwent surgery, but it's also misused by the students or in adolescent ages. Okay, and the next one is tobacco addiction. What are the risks from tobacco? We will see. One, it leads to chronic diseases like stroke, blindness, gum infection, and also kind of cancers. That is head, neck, lung, leukemia. What is leukemia? It's a type of a blood cancer, and then stomach problems, kidney, pancreas, colon problems, bladder, cervix, everything it affects. It is okay. Where is tobacco is obtained from? It is obtained from a tobacco plant which can be smoked, chewed, or used as a snuff. And tobacco has a nicotine which stimulates the adrenal gland to release adrenaline and non-adrenaline, increasing the blood pressure and the heart rate. And what are the effects of tobacco on?
Lungs problems.
Yeah, lung cancer and cancer of urinary bladder, and then throat, bronchitis, emphysema, everything. And what happens is it also increases the carbon monoxide content in the body and reduces the concentration of hemoglobin, and thus leading to the oxygen deficiency in our body. Oxygen deficiency is nothing but hypoxia. Okay, now let us see about drug dependencies and drug addiction. What is addiction and dependence? What is addiction? Yeah, that is a psychological attach ஆயிடும். Okay, psychologically attachment to certain effects such as euphoria. Euphoria na? Euphoria. Huh? Euphoria. It's a kind of anxiety, and then temporal anxiety, and then temporary feeling of well-being associated with the drugs or alcohol. Whereas dependence addiction it is psychologically we are attached to that, but dependence yes, it is a tendency of the body to show an unpleasant and a characteristic withdrawal syndrome. Yeah, withdrawal syndrome now. What is withdrawal syndrome? Withdrawal syndrome. டிஸ்கண்டினியூ பண்ணிட்ட பிறகு அந்த பாடி அவங்களால ஏற்றுக்க முடியாது. இப்போ ஒரு இது பழகிட்டே இருக்குது, திடீர்னு நம்ம ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிட்டேன்னா நம்ம ஏற்றுட்டாலும் பாடி ஏற்றுக்காது. ஓகே, தட் இஸ் கால்ட் அஸ் withdrawal syndrome. Okay, what are the effects of drug and alcoholism? What is that? What are the effects?
Liver damage.
Yeah. Then
Lack of sleep.
Yeah, lack of sleep, depression,
Aggressive.
yeah, fatigue and withdrawal symptoms and syndromes and all. And then mental
Rebellious
distress.
behavior.
What?
Rebellious behavior.
Yeah, rebellious behavior and aggressive. And chronic uses damages the nervous system also. Okay, chronic use of alcohol or any other drugs also leads, and it's a high risk for infections like AIDS, hepatitis B. Okay, what are the prevention and control? What are the prevention and control? How to control or how to prevent all these kinds of things?
Hobbies
Yeah, will divert things. That is, and counseling, and also avoid under peer pressure, and then seeking help from the parents or peers, and then looking for danger signs, seeking, yeah, psychologist, psychiatrist, anyone. Okay. See, these are the elements for prevention, that is education, treatment and